And it's going to go happening because the government is going to deflate the dollar. All right, let's go into of what can be done. Because you and me cannot change the government changing their policy. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No election will make it happening, by the way. It's not going to happen. So you need to learn how to market your service, and you need to learn how to provide for yourself, so that when there's a half a year, or even 2 or 3 years of extreme difficulties, lack of food, lack of resources for living, that you can live even if you don't make money, despite the fact that you should learn how to make money. What does that take? It happens to be marketing. You need to learn how to market your service. I just wasn't too long time ago, I talked to a lady who has great experience in a certain field, working for top executives, out of a job for a while now. And I keep telling her, get into your own damn business. What you know, you don't need anybody else to feed you. Most of the people I talk to, and the people who are going to watch this video, they are in their own business, whether it's a dentist or a restaurant owner. You need to learn how to market so that the community markets for you. If you're relying on advertising, you won't have the money. And people on top of it during tough times will not buy anything from advertising, or at least lots less. They will only buy from, it will go back to 50 years ago. You know, Madison Avenue, which is the avenue of marketing, came into place and had a great impact on turning the economy around from marketing. We need to go back 40, 50, and 60 years ago, where most of the marketing was done by other people, the word-of-mouth marketing. The word-of-mouth marketing, as it stands, doesn't work anymore so well due to the huge impact of advertising, marketing, video, YouTube, name it. Yet, there's a way of doing that, especially for the local businesses. You know, the ones where 5, 10, 15 miles around. If you influence the community leaders, the fire department, Red Cross department, the churches, the schools, the Boy Scout people, if you influence them, if you do things for and with them outside of your profession, they will start liking, loving you, and talk about you. Basically, you got to find a way on how to weave your name of you and your company into the community without having to be talked about your profession. Because whether you're a dentist, a cardiologist, or a shoemaker, it's too little of a topic to everybody talk about you. So you need to find many, many other entrance points in the community's communication. And being socially involved in the community is about the only way which, during a time like now, will actually make an impact in the community, so that they like you as a human being. Ladies and gentlemen, we gotta go back to being liked as a human being, not as the professional we are. Because the people who buy from us, if and when we are a professional, they actually are not. I'm telling you, they are not qualified to evaluate us as a professional anyway, and they know it. It's not that they don't know it. So they go by, I like him. Look at Mr. Obama. He made it into the office by being liked as a human being. Most people who voted for him at this moment say big mistake. Now, when people come to you after they like you as a human being, they won't say that, won't they? Because you will service them rightly, won't you? Of course you do. I'm not kidding. But you need to realize that this is the marketing method of the future. Going back to the future. I don't know whether that works. You know, going back to the past. Doing things the way it was done in the past, except you now need a system. In the past, it was done naturally. In the past, we exercised naturally, going to work with the bicycle, lifting things. Naturally, we had our fair share of exercise, even in my age. Today, if you don't set up a system of exercising, you will die. Well, today, you need to set up a system of becoming naturally involved in the community. Otherwise, you will not be involved and you will be forgotten. You need to have a good service, you need to have a good product, and you need to know how to market it super excellent, better excellent than you are in providing it. And that can only be done by having the community whispering about you instead of you screaming, I am good. And that can be done only by making friends. I am talking friends in the community. Everybody, and especially community leaders who have already an influence, who already have groups who they communicate to easily. That's why they're called influential people. You need to learn how to do that. And lastly, 1 or 2 years of food, freeze-dried fruit, canned food. Freeze-dried food is better, lighter, and holds a lot longer, 20-some years. A good water supply, even perhaps figuring out on how to get a way to make your own water, even though you don't have a well. Machines like that exist. Electricity supply, whether that is with a generator, whether that is with a solar generator. It will all be only some type of emergency thing, but in emergency you don't have all the lights going and you will be okay. Maybe defending yourself, maybe making your house a little bit more break-in safe. All those type of things also need to be considered, because no matter what happens, you possibly cannot maybe avoid that. Now, will it happen? Hopefully not. You know, when I went and purchased a year of food supply, which will last 20-some years, you know, I told the lady, well, she said, it's really good. I said, well, I hope I'll never have to taste it. She says, well, why wouldn't you? You're going to need it. You know, I go, well, maybe I need it. I buy it, that if I need it, I have it. But I don't have a spare tire in my car hoping I need it. I hope I never need my goddamn spare tire. But every year or two, I check it and make sure air is in it, so that if I need it, it isn't flat and dead also. Of course, if the Titanic, which was unsinkable, would have had more lifeboats, more people would have survived. Not all, but more. Way more. So why not spend a few, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 on perhaps living for a long time afterwards without... What about if for some reason something happens that we can't do our work simply because the turmoil is so big? What about if it happens? It just has happened in Greece for a little bit. It has happened in many other countries. It not possibly happening in the United States. All great societies have gone by the sideway. And currently the statistics in the United States show that, and many scientists, by the way, have said that for a long time, the younger generation, let's just say my kids, I don't have kids, but my kids or my kids' kids, if I would have kids, which I am old enough to have kids, they live for the first time forever. They will have a less long life by health, and yet the medical science is like, wow. So why? They will also make less money and have a less good lifestyle. That is a number which has been quoted by top scientists in top radio, television, and newspapers for a long time now. So, if something like that happens, so steady down, is it potentially possible to all of a sudden have a crash? It's not a potentially possibility, it is a likely possibility, because everything you let slide away for a long time will eventually crash immediately. Currently, the United States of America is handling the finances the way a 3-year-old would not handle it, which makes me only believe, since the people in office are not stupid, that that's what they want. They probably will have their own reason why, and maybe their reason is pure. There is a potential, which would of course make them again stupid. However, the fact is they're pouring gasoline on fire, and that is all there is to it. Okay? That is all there is to it. You cannot work your way out of an inflation and say the recession is officially over simply because the stock market is rising. Maybe the stock market isn't rising. Maybe only the dollar is becoming worthless. Ever occurred to you? Do you actually think gold is rising? No. Gold buys the same thing more or less than it bought 100 years ago. What does that mean? The dollar is becoming worthless. That's what that means. Now, it's not something you and me probably can avoid. And you need to realize that. Just like when you're in the mountains of Switzerland or Austria, you cannot avoid the snowstorm. But you got to be prepared. And you can make the best out of it. So what does prepared there mean? You have clothes which make you, shelter you. You have food for a few days, weeks even, just in case, if nobody finds you, and all that type of stuff. And yes, people die all the time, especially the tourists. Oh, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, we go up there, oh no, oh. And they literally, I've seen people going with almost high heels and short sleeves up in the mountains because it's so beautiful, warm, in order to then just die. Being found just a couple, 2, 3, 5, 6 hours too late. There was no bad luck involved in that whole thing. Nothing whatsoever. The media will tell you, bad luck. No. Idiots thinking they know it and not realizing that you need to prepare yourself for a potentially something could possibly happen. There is no shame. This is not being paranoid. You are not being called paranoid having a spare tire. So, prepare yourself by learning how to market your service when nobody else will be able to sell it. Because no matter what you have, most likely people will still need it, because we're not talking the end of the world. So people will need what you have. You just need to be the last man standing, like in a Clint Eastwood movie. Yeah, that's what it is. That's it. There's no other saying. You've got to be the last man standing. And what about if you can't possibly sell your service? Well, you got to eat. Keep in mind, many hundred years ago, 1,000 years ago, whenever, all around the world, the main currency was food, because that's all we need. Actually, shelter isn't quite as important. The bridge does quite well, especially in California. In any case, houses are here. You will stay somewhere. But what about food? And so, what's the big deal about having a year or two of food for a couple, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000? And what about if it never happens? Great. Throw it away 20 years later and buy another $5,000 set of food. Okay? And as I said, learn how to have the community market for you. That's the main thing we're doing here. Okay? The other thing was just a throw-in of what I think everybody should do. As I said, you are the one who believes it. What's true for you is true for you. I just do, however, hope that you look at the way things are, not the way the media promotes it, not the way the president promotes it, not the way somebody else promotes it. Look at what it is and realize people not having a job, okay? Keep in mind that inflation is an enormous form of taxation. It's an illegal form of taxation if it is done purposely. You are getting less for your money to a very high degree, and yes, your services are not going up. So that's probably why you're confused. On one hand, there is inflation. On the other hand, there is deflation, meaning your service gets less. And that's why I said it's that imbalance which will crash it all. Planned or not planned doesn't really matter. I think it's planned, but that's not the point. The point is it will happen. The point is it's already happened. And the point is if it never happens, great. You learn how to market anyway, which will do you good in any economic climate. And you had a little bit of food at home, which you never might use. Fantastic. I hope this video helped.